Hello and welcome to this lecture where we are going to see that what are standard input, output, error and some other Linux command that are pretty handy in our day-to-day environment. So what is standard input? Well, if you are using a keyboard and you are typing something on the terminal of a Linux machine, then that would be called as standard input. So keyboard, let me just type in keyboard, or maybe I need to correct my spellings. So keyboard is a form of standard input. Now in Word of Linux, what we can also do is that not only we can take input from the keyboard while we are processing a file or something, but we can also take input from a file, and we'll see how we can do that. For output, normally the standard output is the screen or the GUI terminal or the terminal or the shell that you are typing in. So it's the screen that normally is this is the input and screen is the standard output. Likewise, for error, this error is also displayed on the screen as a standard procedure. But we can change the input method from keyboard to, let's say, a file. We can change the output from going onto screen instead of going to a file. So we can put it into a file and or maybe stream it onto some other network terminal. Likewise, for error, the standard is to display it on the screen, but we can also move these error messages onto a different file as well. So let's just come onto the terminal and see how we can use these certain manipulation techniques. So I'm here at the terminal, and if I type in, let's say if I type in my name, or the other way around should be, let's just say that I use the command read. Now what this read does is that it takes the input whatever we type in, so and then we can kind of get it displayed back to us. So, and let me just show you one thing. If I take the manual entry for read and I press enter, and if I come back all the way down, press N. I'm specifically looking for the read function. If I can quickly find one for you. So, alright, so it is going down. Alright, so here's the read function, which says that one line is read from the standard input or from the file descriptor fd supplied as an argument to the option, and the first word is associated to the first name. Anyway, in short, what it does is that if I type in read and I give it a variable where that value should be stored, so let's just call that variable me. Now if I press enter over here, you see the cursor has come down to the second line and it is kind of blinking. It is waiting that whatever I type, it will put it into the buffer value and associate that value with this variable me. So if I type in, let's say, standard and input, and now if I press enter, we see that it has come back to the prompt, bash prompt, and now to see the contents of this variable, I can type in echo and then $, and then me. Now once I do that, we see that it has given us the same value that we have typed over here. Now this is the procedure that a value has been taken from the standard input or from the keyboard. What we can do is that take the value from a file and store it in me variable. But remember that for this function read, as we had just said, just seen its manual entry, that only first line is taken. So if I press, let's say if we see the contents of this directory, we have this first file, and if we see the contents of this first file using, let's say, VI editor, we see that it has got bunch of lines. So let's use this file as a standard input. So coming back to this readme, and now instead of pressing enter, I am redirecting it using this arrow in reverse direction. There are two arrows, one is like this one and the one is like this one. At the moment I'm using this one, which is kind of pointing backwards to me, and I'm going to use the file first as standard input. And if I now press enter, the value has been stored in me, and I can see the contents of this file by typing in echo, then $, and me. And remember, only one line is put into the buffer associated with this variable me. So we see that only first line has been displayed back. So this way you can, and this step that I've done, we can do it in one go as well. Like joining of the commands, I can do this, and then the next command, which could be like echo, and afterwards let's say me. So two commands have been executed in one line. So this redirection, this is called as redirection. It's a very good functionality if we have got a bunch of files or large number of files that we want to process using a certain function. Then we can take the input in this manner into that function, and the data will be processed. Likewise, for standard output, let me just show you the contents of let's say ls, or maybe let's just change the directory and go to a directory which has got more contents. So let's just go to etc and do an ls over here, and it has got a long listing of contents which are directories and files. So you see, at the moment what I have done is that I have given it a command, and it has given us the standard output onto this terminal or onto this screen. What I can do is that I can make this standard output, or this output that has been displayed on the screen, go into a file. Now how we can do that? I can type in ls and then redirection switch. You remember, in case of input I had used this way, but in case of putting it into a file, instead of reading from the file, putting it into a file, I'm using the other way around. And let's just call it output of ls. So that's the name of the file. It will create the file and put this output in this file. So if I press enter, okay, so we do not have the permission. Let's just create this file in our own folder, which is home and Ahmed, and then proof or lpic1, I believe that was the folder. So I press in lpic1 / output of ls. So it is saying that no such directory. Okay, what is wrong now? Okay, so alright, so I made this mistake. This tilde sign, it means that our home directory. So I have put it another home directory. So let's just remove this one, and now it should be done. Now if I look at the contents of this file, let's say if I press enter, or lpic1, I believe it should be lpic1, we see that now this file has been created. output of ls, and if I do ls minus l to see the long listing, we see that certainly it has got some data in it. That's why it has got 2.7 kilobyte of size. Now if we want to see the contents of this file, we can use vi command, and then let me just put it right over here. So I type in vi and then the file name, which was output of ls, and now we see that all the contents that we had seen using the ls command in etc folder, they have been copied into this file. So this way, whatever output that is shown onto a standard output, in this functionality is useful when you are kind of debugging information or looking at some logs, and those logs are kind of executed in a very fast fashion that it would be difficult for you to judge it in real time. So what you do is that you start the process and then you redirect the output of that process or error into a file so that you can have time and ease to analyze it in more detail. Now, just like that, just like the output that can be sent to a file, an error can also be sent to a file. So let's just come back to our home folder, lpic1, and at the moment if I press ls, we see that we have got only two files. If I press ls and give it a garbage name, let's say shows the contents of ASDF, which does not exist, we know. Now if I press enter over here, though it might look like that this is standard output, but in fact it's not the output, it's an error which has been displayed onto this standard output. Now what if we want this error to be sent to a file? Now if I do, let's say if I redirect it to a file, which we call it error, then we see that it has no effect because this is not the standard output, this is the standard error. Now to make this error go into a file, we need to append 2 before the direction operator. Now once we do that, we see that now the error has not been displayed on the standard output, rather it has been sent into the file error. And how do we know that? If I press ls, we see that this file has been created by the name of error, and if I do a vi of this error, we see that the error that was earlier being shown on the screen, now it has been put into the file. Get out of the file. Now in certain situations what happens is that if you have a log going on and you want to monitor the file in real time, like that file is being updated with every second, or maybe it's an Apache file or maybe Radius file or other file that you want to monitor in real time. As soon as an input is put into that file, you want to see that what is in there. Now vi function does not perform that functionality. So what you can do is that there is a command which is tail, and give it the switch of -f and then whatever the file name. What it will do is that as soon as a data is put into the file, it is displayed onto the screen. So let's see how does it function. Let's say if I type in tail -f and let's say error. Let's try to get any output from this error file, and let's open another terminal to the same CentOS machine, which is over here, and let's just put them side by side so that it would be easier for you to see. And I want to send an output of or send a string by using echo command, and this, let's just call it maybe testing tail monitoring, and redirect it into this error file, which is in lpic folder and error. Now once this string it is sent into the error file, we should ideally be seeing this file being updated, and not only updated but the contents as well. So I press enter, and you see that as soon as I've pressed enter, the message popped up, but it is saying that the file was truncated. So let's see that why it is giving this error. Okay, so let's see the contents of this file by typing in, say, vi, and then I type in, let's say, error, which is the name of the file, and we see that indeed the string that we had typed in, which was testing tail monitoring, it has been put into this file and it was updated in real time. Now let's try to change this file. Let's try to put this file, instead of using this file, let's use another file which is, say, AS or the first one. Now it is being updated in real time, and now let's try to use again this command, but instead of using this redirection switch, use double redirection. And what will this double redirection do is that it will, the single redirection, it will replace the contents with whatever we are trying to send in. But this double redirection, this double greater than sign or pointer sign, it will append the output to the existing contents. So I'll type in output of ls, or rather the file that we are monitoring at the time is first. So I type in first over here, and now let's send the contents, and we see that indeed test mail monitoring has been appended. Now if I keep on adding like this, we see that the file is being shown in real time. Now we can also do a tail and then file name, which is lpic and first, and by default what this output shows us, the first or I should say last 10 lines of the file. So if we count from bottom, these would be, I believe, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 lines. Besides tail command, there is also one command which is head, and if I type in head and then lpic1 first, then what this command does is that it will show us the first 10 line of that particular file, which it does over here. Now we also have the option to specify the number of lines that we want to see. For example, we can use the head command and give it, let's say, 20 lines, and then the name of the file, which is lpic and first, and now we see that if we have got 20 lines in the file, it will show us the first 20 lines. Likewise, for tail command, we can use this -n switch to display us that many number of lines. So that's all there is to it as far as standard input, output, and this tail and head command is concerned. Do practice with these commands. I hope you have learned from the video, and thank you for watching.